10-year-old Thomas lived in a small coastal town located on a beautiful shore. His house was only a 10-minute walk from the sea, and in the evenings he could often hear the sound of waves through his window. The windows in his room faced east, letting him see the first rays of the sun over the sea each morning. On the windowsill was his collection of seashells, which Thomas had gathered during his beach walks. The walls of his room were decorated with posters of sea creatures, especially a large one showing the detailed anatomy of an octopus. The town's narrow streets led right down to the beach, as if they were an extension of the shoreline. The old streetlights along these roads had a light coating of salt left by the sea breeze. The air was always filled with the fresh smell of the sea and the sounds of seagulls flying over the waves. From an early age, Thomas showed an unusual interest in sea life. Every weekend, he would beg his parents to take him to the local aquarium, located in an old red brick building. The aquarium staff knew Thomas well and often allowed him to watch while they fed the sea animals. Pressing his nose against the cool glass of the large tanks, he could spend hours observing the marine creatures. The boy carefully recorded his observations in a special waterproof notebook, a gift from his father. He was especially fascinated by octopuses, their smooth movements, incredible ability to change color and texture, and their flexible tentacles, which could slip into the smallest crevices. Thomas often stayed by their tank the longest, watching as these amazing animals solved puzzles given to them by the aquarium staff. One sea creature in particular became a favorite for Thomas, a small spotted octopus that always swam up to the glass when it saw him. That July morning, Thomas woke up earlier than usual to the sound of waves crashing against the coastal rocks. The sun was just beginning to rise over the horizon, coloring the sky with soft pink hues. A gentle breeze moved the curtains in his room, bringing in the smell of seaweed. Thomas immediately sensed that this day would be special. He quickly washed his face with cool water, put on his favorite t-shirt with pictures of sea animals, and went down to the kitchen, where his mother was making breakfast. The smell of freshly baked cinnamon rolls filled the kitchen, blending with the aroma of freshly brewed coffee. After breakfast, Thomas began packing his beach bag, made of sturdy waterproof fabric. Into it went a large blue towel with images of starfish, a high SPF sunscreen his mother insisted he use, a bottle of water, a few tuna sandwiches wrapped in wax paper, a bright yellow plastic bucket, and a red plastic shovel with a comfortable long handle. These last two items were his most important tools for exploring the beach. With them, he gathered interesting shells and studied small marine creatures in the tidal pools that formed among the coastal rocks. Thomas's father, a marine biologist with 15 years of experience at the local research institute, supported his son's interest in marine life. He often told the boy amazing facts about the underwater creatures he studied in his lab. That morning, he was also planning to go to the beach with the family, hoping to show Thomas some special spots where they could find starfish and crabs hiding under rocks at low tide. The day turned out to be unusually hot, even for midsummer. The sand quickly heated up under the scorching sun, and Thomas put on his favorite beach sandals with thick soles. The thermometer on their porch already showed 86 degrees Fahrenheit, even though it was only 10 in the morning. Most beachgoers stayed close to the water where the sea breeze brought some much-needed coolness. But driven by his adventurous spirit, Thomas decided to explore the farther part of the beach, where there were almost no people. Passing a cluster of large rocks covered with tiny shells and dried seaweed, Thomas noticed something unusual on the sand. It was a dark spot, partly covered with sand, located quite far from the waterline, almost at the high tide mark. Curiosity took over, and the boy headed toward the strange object. As he got closer, he began to see faint movements that couldn't be explained by the wind alone. Carefully kneeling down, trying not to disturb his discovery, Thomas started gently digging away the sand with his small shovel. With each movement, his heart beat faster, and his hands began to tremble slightly with excitement. The sand was hot and dry, making him work even faster. Soon he saw the distinct shape of tentacles and realized it was an octopus that had somehow ended up far from the water, perhaps during the night tide. The animal looked exhausted and worn out from the heat. Its skin was dry and dull, missing its usual shine, and its movements were slow and sluggish, as if every motion took tremendous effort. Thomas remembered his father's stories about how octopuses could survive out of water for a short time by using the moisture stored in their gills and skin folds. But this one had clearly spent too much time under the sun. Without immediate help, it could die from dehydration under the burning rays of the sun. Wasting no time, Thomas called out to his parents with a loud shout. His clear voice echoed across the empty part of the beach, bouncing off the coastal cliffs. His father, hearing his son's excited cry, quickly ran over, leaving deep footprints in the dry sand. Seeing the octopus, he immediately understood the seriousness of the situation. His professional experience told him that time was critical. They had to act fast but very carefully to avoid hurting the animal further. Thomas quickly filled his yellow bucket with seawater, trying to scoop it from further out where the water was cleaner and cooler. Water splashed over the edges as he ran back to the octopus, leaving a damp trail on the hot sand. His father showed him how to carefully move the creature into the bucket, using the shovel as an improvised stretcher to avoid injuring the octopus's delicate skin. The creature tensed at first, its skin noticeably darkening, a natural reaction to potential danger. But once it was finally in the water, it began to slowly stretch out its tentacles, as if awakening from a heavy sleep. The family hurried toward the sea, choosing a path with firmer sand to keep the bucket steady. His father pointed out the perfect spot to release the octopus, a small natural bay sheltered from the waves by protruding basalt rocks. The water here was deep enough but calm, with small clusters of seaweed where the octopus could hide. Thomas carefully lowered the bucket into the water, trying not to make sudden movements, and slowly tilted it, letting the seawater mix with the water in the bucket. For a few long seconds, nothing happened, and Thomas felt his heart tighten with worry. Then the octopus began to slowly move out of the bucket, gaining confidence as it entered its natural environment. Its skin started to change color, turning a healthier, reddish-brown shade typical for its kind. Before swimming out into deeper water, the octopus unexpectedly lingered in the shallows, its tentacles gracefully waving in the clear water. It turned toward its rescuers, its large eyes seeming to study them carefully. It looked at Thomas for a long moment, as if memorizing him. Then, with a single smooth movement, the creature glided into the deeper water and disappeared among the seaweed. For the rest of the day, Thomas couldn't stop thinking about what had happened, his mind constantly returning to this amazing encounter. During dinner, he bombarded his father with questions about octopuses, and his father happily shared his knowledge, telling fascinating facts about these creatures. The boy eagerly looked forward to the next day, planning to return to the beach to check if his unusual friend was all right. The next morning, the weather was much kinder for a day at the beach. Thin, feathery clouds occasionally covered the sun, making the day cooler and more pleasant. Thomas headed straight to the spot where the rescue had happened, carefully scanning the sand for other animals that might need help. He didn't expect to see the rescued octopus again, but secretly hoped for another encounter. Suddenly, he noticed something unusual moving in the water not far from the shore, in the same sheltered bay where they had released the octopus. At first, Thomas thought it was just the waves playing with the sunlight, but then he saw a familiar shape. Swimming in the water was an octopus, and from its size and distinctive spots on its tentacles, the boy realized with amazement it was the very same creature they had saved the day before. Thomas froze in awe and quietly called his parents, afraid to scare away the unexpected guest. Together, they watched in wonder as the octopus confidently stayed close to the shore, as if purposefully showing itself. When Thomas carefully approached the water, the animal not only stayed, but extended one of its tentacles toward him, as if trying to greet its rescuer, showing an incredible level of trust and recognition. Intrigued by his new friend, Thomas learned some surprising things about octopuses. It turned out that their blood is blue, and they have 3 hearts, 1 main heart and 2 for the gills. These unusual creatures can squeeze through holes the size of a coin due to their lack of bones, distinguish objects by touch, and change not only their color, but also the texture of their skin, mimicking rocks or coral reefs perfectly. The most incredible fact was that octopuses have 9 brains, 1 central brain and 1 in each tentacle, which allows them to solve complex tasks and even use tools. They can easily recognize human faces and can tell different people apart, even if they're dressed the same. This incredible encounter changed Thomas's life forever, strengthening his determination to become a marine biologist and protect these incredibly intelligent and capable ocean creatures, just like his father.